I'm a family physician, and today we're going to talk about the top mistakes that parents make when their kids have leg cramps. Okay, so most of you know somebody who's had leg cramps. You can get them if you're an athlete, if you work out a lot. You've been sedentary and then you get active. If you're pregnant, if you're breastfeeding, and for no reason at all. Leg cramps are very common. So many people will experience leg cramps at some point in their life. But what about your kids? Can they get leg cramps? Yes, they sure can. And it's a pretty common thing. It's usually not a big deal. But there are certain things that you should be aware of. And I want to share with you the top mistakes that parents make when their kids have leg cramps. At the end of this video, I'll tell you what you should do instead. No one. The first mistake is thinking that it's normal for their kid to have leg cramps. Well, it can be. If it only happens once in a while, it's probably fine. But if your child is having repeated leg cramps, it could be a sign of something else. So let's talk about what causes leg cramps in kids. No. One is dehydration. That's a really common cause, especially if they're exercising or it's hot outside. If they're sweating and losing fluids, then they need to replace those fluids. And I always recommend to parents, if your kid sweats, they need to drink. It's not just when they're thirsty. You want to try to beat that thirst by having them drink before they re-thirsty, because that's how we become dehydrated. So dehydration is a really common cause of leg cramps in kids. Another cause is electrolyte imbalance, especially low potassium, low magnesium, low calcium, or low sodium, can all lead to leg cramps. So if your child is vomiting or has diarrhea, that could be one reason that they're developing a low level of one of these electrolytes, which will then lead to the leg cramps. Other causes of leg cramps can be overuse, like they're running a lot, playing sports, doing a lot of exercise, but also underuse. Like if they're in a cast and they haven't been moving their legs. If they've been in a cast, say for a broken bone, that can actually make them more likely to get leg cramps when they start moving again. Another cause is medications. Certain medications can cause leg cramps as a side effect, so make sure you ask your pediatrician about that. Other causes can be vitamin D deficiency or thyroid problems. Very rarely, leg cramps can be a symptom of some other underlying medical problem. So if your child is having repeated leg cramps, it's a good idea to check with their pediatrician to rule out any of those other causes. No. 2. The second mistake that parents make is ignoring their kids' leg cramps. Now again, if it's just an occasional thing, that's probably fine. But if it's becoming repetitive, you need to pay attention and figure out why your child is getting leg cramps. There could be something that's correctable that you're overlooking. No. 3 is giving their kids caffeine. Caffeine can make leg cramps worse. And this is really important for parents of teenagers, because teenagers love their sodas and their energy drinks. And so make sure that you're talking to your teenager about not drinking caffeine, especially if they're having leg cramps. And if they are having leg cramps, don't give them any caffeine. Mistake no. 4 is not giving their kids enough potassium. Potassium is a very common electrolyte that can be lacking and contribute to leg cramps. Now, kids get potassium from the foods that they eat, so make sure your child is eating plenty of fruits and vegetables. A diet that's high in fruits and vegetables will also be high in potassium. Mistake no. 5 is not giving their kids enough magnesium. Same thing with magnesium. It's found in lots of different foods. Nuts, seeds, beans, whole grains, spinach, avocado, even whole milk. And cheese are good sources of magnesium. And so make sure your child is eating a well-balanced diet that includes all these different foods. And if you're concerned about their magnesium levels, talk to their pediatrician about a magnesium supplement. The next mistake is forcing their kids to drink water. Okay? Again, if your child is having leg cramps due to dehydration, you want them to drink fluids. But if you force them, they may throw it up. They may resist. They may not take it down. And so it's important that you choose the right fluids and you don't force them. For example, sports drinks are good, coconut water is good, water is fine, milk is great. But if you give them Gatorade and they throw it up, you haven't fixed the problem. You've just aggravated the problem. So you may need to try a different approach, try a different fluid. Or you may need to take them somewhere else and try to get them to drink in a different environment. But force is not the way to do it. Mistake no. 7 is not treating the underlying cause. So if you discover that your child is having leg cramps because they are re-exercising too much, or maybe they are re-exercising too hard, you need to help them pace themselves. Maybe they need to take a break. Maybe they need to change their training regimen. If it's due to a vitamin D deficiency, then you need to get them outside and get them in the sunshine, or consider a vitamin D supplement. If it's due to low potassium, low magnesium, low calcium, or low sodium, then you need to replace those electrolytes. And so work with your pediatrician to determine what the right replacement is for your child. Mistake number 8 is assuming that leg cramps are just part of growing up. No, leg cramps should not be expected. You shouldn't expect your child to have leg cramps. In fact, we shouldn't have leg cramps as adults either. Leg cramps, if they're repetitive, if they're happening all the time, if they're interfering with sleep, if they're interfering with activity, is a sign that there's some sort of problem, some sort of imbalance, some sort of issue that needs to be addressed. And so please don't just assume that it's part of growing up. Mistake no. 9 is assuming that leg cramps only affect performance. No. Leg cramps can affect sleep. They can affect school. They can affect their mood. It can affect their ability to function at home. And so do underestimate the impact that leg cramps can have on your child's overall quality of life. Mistake number 10, giving their kids ibuprofen. Okay, so this is a big one. This is one that's very common. Parents will often give their kids Advil or Tylenol for leg cramps, thinking that it's gone, reduce the cramping. And that's not true. Those are not anti-cramp medications. In fact, ibuprofen can worsen leg cramps and increase the frequency of leg cramps. And so you should never give ibuprofen for leg cramps. Mistake number 11 is delaying treatment. Please don't delay treatment of leg cramps. If your child is having leg cramps, try to address it right away, because it doesn't have to be a big deal. But if you wait, it can become a bigger deal, and it can affect their sleep and their mood and their performance and their function. And you don't want it to get to that point. All right? And mistake number 12, the last one, is not asking the pediatrician questions. Please don't be afraid to ask your pediatrician questions about your child's leg cramps. Remember, your pediatrician is there to help you. They're there to help your child. And so if you're noticing that your child is having recurrent leg cramps, take it up with their pediatrician, ask questions, get answers, come up with a plan to treat the underlying cause of the leg cramps and prevent them from happening in the future. Well, I hope this video is helpful to you. If you have any questions whatsoever about your children's health, please contact our office. We would be happy to help you. This video is in no way intended to be a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Always seek the advice of your physician or other qualified healthcare provider with any questions you may have regarding a medical condition.